It's 6 p.m. on Monday, March 9th, 2026, and I call this study session to order. I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening, and would Councilmember Whalen lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please note for the record that Councilmember Roberts is absent this evening. The first item on the agenda today is a presentation. Washington Cities Insurance Authority, also known as WCIA, is here tonight. Rob Roscoe will be presenting council do's and don'ts training and will be able to answer questions following the presentation. The presentation slides begin on page 3 of your packet. Mr. Roscoe.
Thank you. Deputy Director. I like to say WCI, they go to Washington. So they all go. 26 years. Yeah, I started. So actually, committee, and then I back to WCI as the deputy. I'm here to talk. Official for the city of Milton. Please feel free to fire my way up. Believe me, I risk management, so do not. At least. Awesome. I feel like so we'll grew up at Edgewood down. So she's been down. A lot of local ties here. Swimming all over. I primarily and back then and they had HC pool our resources and we and that's what they did. We only insure to be a member. So I walked down to And some of the advantages financially and increasing it is getting very operating. And in particular, from a liability.
I believe it.
And services for their members. So in essence, by the city of Milton. So we charge, we're not charging to increase. And the how a lot of the members want. Coverage document, how to do it. In particular, where to their departments, criminalizing everything. So they brought in crisis. And lost controversy. We have a grant being formed and have the same how. So that's why we're very. We can. And what we should. So, if you want to pay less, you can't always.
Right.
You can do. Then that can also turn. I was very active. We won. Defended, WCI defended that.
Wow.
Did we really win? We couldn't. Because again,
Pierce County.
okay. but those sometimes provide that benefit for those claims. We're staffed 20. All of our members, 18 and a half. That's most insurance companies. So we run. So we try to keep it as simple as possible. So when you have one, and when there's a large, if there's a way for them, they're going to exercise
Right.
because they have that fiduciary. We don't want to find. Well, so we don't pay. Big distinction. To the executive, fellow members. So what used to be 4 million, and I had to increase. So I had to self-insure. Up to. Now, insurance is a very cyclical industry. If you have a lot of large. And just to give you. That's where rates and getting less. That's never. My reinsurance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did not raise our members. But that's where we try. Right now, last year, 3%. Our members' rates. Potential. 2020. We can't be. additional. Doing so. State of Washington. But it was supervision of the. Disappeared. No. And the. Two young children with the Department of Social. So. Not really foreseen because a joint was on the hook
Wow.
rendered against.
Yeah. I just want to point out, I was at the Attorney General when that verdict came out. I'm an attorney there. I mean, the jury did find it was foreseeable, just for the record. There was lots of aggravating facts, which is why the verdict came out that high.
The court said. Is we ordered.
Yeah, I just take a little gripe because the DSHS verdicts are because these are egregious facts where the state continually fails. So I just want to know, that was a jury verdict. That's the jury.
That attaches. That is false. Either. Or the city. Maybe. It's like we. Maybe just on the. California has. But we can't. A lot of times those. Who's the deep pocket? Give you another one. Trying to steal it. a matter of and I get a child. And that's what we. There was a study done. And now, population-wise, we're when they have lawsuits. When you have that, and that's where. And again, we. And when a should be getting is getting theirs. So they're only getting a third. And what we want. Died in committee. Couldn't even get it out. So, good news is we don't see a lot. We used to see it a lot, but we have some. What we see is the office. Once you start eroding. Things fixed. And put but be careful. You start acting. Not saying it's a huge. We did for a while. And go off of what's and not based off. One of That way you can eat. Use your code. However, City of Cleon.
Wow.
This development agreement. The buy-stop. I know you. There was some there. Developers who. Now that you can't win. And here, the city breached that.
No.
They don't have $22 million. Of. Now, I don't think you have a lot. So now it's. Agreements. Not. Personnel. This is one. HR director. If staff. Or terminate. Now, if I. Who looks at the staff? Can staff fire? That's why it's here. Is irrelevant. Is what's important. And if cities that this is a violation, protect these employees, don't do this. Now, we have elected officials. Because you're not going to have, and you're not going to have. So, people stop. And they're designed. Now, same thing. Guess what? So you now have no. So don't report that on. So they also. If you say, example I have of that, we have one city where you have. Is that okay? Can't wait to see it. So he code enforcement saying this. Is that a problem?
Yeah.
Well, he called them. So just be careful. And do the investigation. Individuals are hurt. But if we don't owe it, we don't. It's harder. Defamation. Concern. Your goals. You know, when you're start referring. That's where you don't want to. He sued him and his wife won $20 million. in the school. Do you think their rates are? If they can even. Yes, it is. Villainize. It's public money. They want to sign. Because what happened as a result. X, Y, or Z. But at least it gives. Now, it was perfectly well, but it just inflamed. Depose that council member. So be careful. It's an unsafe road. Don't refer to things. And then if you ever. It can be very. And let that. Or lack thereof.
Just to add a little bit to that, be respectful of the citizens, but don't let them know that you'll pass the information on and your further discussions go to the appropriate department, the appropriate head. And it's not extracting yourself from what the individual wants. It's advising them of the process to take. And you may agree with them 100%, you may not agree with them at all, but you don't express that.
Yeah.
You just pass it on through, but
Again,
and it's also appropriate to follow up with the individual and find out how it stands. But you kind of want to give the appropriate party who's supposed to respond the time and the information to respond, and don't take it on yourself.
definitely. We from a defense as well. So rural, but we're Washington, we got hills. Highlighted. You unique contract, real estate transaction. You can go and work from. So I don't want. Exactly. I'm trying to $5 million to the plaintiff. So if that's but if we can't, that's where we'll then eliminate it. And self-government, where you have I've had council members yourself, but we don't be careful about that. Written communication. First of all, everything. You know, so it so that very sue. Communication just refused. Well, that created because the city has and be very conscious of what you're putting in that for the city. Media. On those because offensive comments. So what do? You know, so that's last reward.
I know this is for council, but I just think it would be, it's helpful to them to also understand that there's some fine print that sometimes WCIA will settle against council's wishes because as the insurer or the group, watching out for the group assets of all the cities, there will be times, because I've been doing this for 30 years, and sometimes there's a moral compass and people are like, we should not pay that person, we should litigate it, we should fight them. And they go, because I've been in the county and I've been in the city, and there's times where they go, we're gonna go ahead and pay them because it's cheaper to settle outside of court.
We you have a very a lot of times those issues. That's where fiduciary responsibility. A lot of we want you to understand. They're asking. This could be a $20 million.
Just one more thing, just following on the Enum Claw, I think it is.
Yes.
Just that council be aware that there can be cases that will bankrupt a city.
They're in bankruptcy over that. seeing if I could get, and they basically said, no, we'll attach it, but not a. But because I know, but I have agri, but they wouldn't even give it. Upwards. Our ability then to, and that's where
I have, I have a
I
question.
think that's in any.
So what's the difference between a personal Facebook and your, like, council Facebook?
Well,
Are you
your
allowed?
conversation-
Are you allowed to say anything on your personal?
On your personal Facebook account. Once,
What's city business?
talking. Yes. So be very over that and then demarc. Land use case.
I think we've all put, hey, it's a council
Yeah, you
meeting.
can have, I would just be very. Said personal.
I think what he's referring to is baiting. Somebody starts talking about city business and you start getting into a debate with them.
Oh,
And you might not realize, because you was a harmless post, but then they're trying to draw you into
oh yeah.
a conversation.
Can't block it.
I don't think we knew that.
All, definitely, your city attorney about those issues. That's usually one that I, regarding that.
Thank you.
Because again, it also.
A what?
It can get into
Oh,
your ability to restrict all that.
well, I know we're not given city phones, but we were asked to give our phone number if somebody wanted to contact us.
Be careful about that. Because, that can be discoverable and you have to.
Yeah, but I don't have one from the city. Is the city of Seattle one of the members?
No, thankfully, because you see that's, they already have $50 million shop lawsuit. So right there.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's what's for municipalities. Are
Right.
it's down. So
Thank you.
Can you speak just 10 seconds to how important it is that we participate in the WCIA audits?
assessments and premiums, if you it's what you pay. Your risks. Buying leg. All the cities.
kind of a closing question, you might say. How long have we been doing business with you all?
Since 19,
That's what I thought.
yeah, I had seniors coming in. Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah, you guys have been along.
I asked that question because I've been on council for the last 25 years. And I've heard a lot of the, you might say, discussions with WCIA and the results and so forth, and I don't ever remember any problems.
Yeah.
I don't remember any. So it's a credit to both WCIA and council, because you're informative, you might say, educating us, and we don't know or actually have any knowledge of severe issues. We've had some suits and so forth, and all that happens. But, and I mention this because we have a nice new council who haven't sat at this dais for other than the 2 months or 3 months that they've had the opportunity. So that broad scope knowledge is very helpful and very, you might say, appreciated coming from your
Well, I
voice.
appreciate being. Educating.
I think everybody now, I've heard WCIA for the last 25 years and so forth, but you'll have a better understanding of what they do for us, what the relationship is, and the value that you add to our lives. By knowing what not to do as well as what to do. You know, appreciate it.
And I. A lot, you know. Dedication to the public. It's appreciated. Wish more people. I say that not. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's an hour well spent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roscoe.
Of course.
All right, the last item on our agenda today is our fireworks enforcement update, and Chief Hernandez will be telling us all about this.
Good evening, council, distinguished guests. Just wanted to bring this agenda item before you and update you. This ordinance was passed prior to some of the new council members. And so just to give you an explanatory statement, under the Milton Municipal Code 8.04, the city of Milton used to allow the sale and purchase and use of consumer fireworks within the city limit. A ballot proposition was put out as a non-binding advisory vote that allowed residents to inform the Milton City Council whether they were or against prohibiting the sale or purchase and use of consumer fireworks within the city of Milton. This was done in 2025 and was placed on the ballot for November 4th, 2025. On the ballot, it talked to the advisory number 1 vote, and it's a yes vote meant the voter was in favor of prohibiting the sale and purchase and the use of consumer fireworks within the city of Milton. A no vote meant the voter was in favor of continuing to allow the sale and purchase and use of consumer fireworks within the city of Milton, as currently provided in the Milton Municipal Code 8.04. After years of debate, the outcome of this advisory vote provided input to the Milton City Council in its decision-making process when evaluating whether to modify the city's existing law governing consumer fireworks within the city of Milton. The advisory vote was placed before the ballot voters November 4, 2025. The results were King County, yes, 265 votes. no 143, which was a percentage of 64% to 35%. In Pierce County, it was a yes vote of 791, 53%, and then 695 votes of 46% of no. Overwhelmingly, at approximately 55% of the voters voted yes to ban fireworks in the city of Milton. Since then, I've had discussions after the Milton legislative body here passed the code banning fireworks sales in and use in the city of Milton. Under the current language in the municipal code that was passed, I believe it was December 3rd, somewhere thereabouts in the month of December of 25, 8.04, the city's fire, and had a discussion with the fire chief, and the language read, the city's fire chief or their designee is identified as the enforcing officer for this chapter regulating fireworks. During the review of the ordinance amendments, the Milton Fire Department indicated the enforcement of fireworks violations was not consistent with their department's primary mission and operational responsibilities. The fire department also indicated that it does not have sufficient staffing or resources to effectively enforce fireworks regulations within the city of Milton. Because of this, I brought a change forward to you and had consulted with our city attorney. The fireworks violations typically involve public safety enforcement actions, complaint response, and potential seizure of prohibited fireworks. These duties align more closely with the responsibilities and capabilities of the Milton Police Department. As a result, the proposed amendment to Section 8.04060, which designates the Milton Police Department or its duly authorized representative as the enforcing authority for Chapter 8.04. And that's what I have brought before you for your consideration tonight. And I have provided, as I handed out earlier before the meeting, the code in its entirety, just in case you wanted to see where it fell under the enforcing officer. And so with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was distracted there for a second. Councilmember Mounts.
The lake is owned by the state? Is it within the city of Milton jurisdiction?
The lake is actually not owned by the state. If you look at the state, or the, if you were to go on to the Pierce County website and look, the properties actually extend into the lake as private property.
They don't,
Surprise Lake,
Surprise Lake.
yes. It's considered a private. In fact, the outfall for that is done by a private member of the association on the lake. We don't control that outfall. We have to negotiate with them to get access to the outfall when it gets to its high mark.
Okay,
It's probably governed by the state in the sense that they say, oh, this is a wetland and we're going to make sure that you can only do certain things like that. But as far as the lake, as far as I know, unless the planning director has other advice.
It's owned by the state, but the lake is private. It's a little convoluted.
You want to hand her the mic?
I believe it's because yes, the parcels go into the lake. It's very unique. But I believe it's something like the water is owned by the state, but the lake itself is not. So it's sort of cross. I think there's both rules for it, so.
so what would you do if we put a dock out in the middle of the lake off of anybody's parcel? No.
It does happen.
Okay.
And the complaints do come in, and depending on the distance,
It would be subject to the shoreline regulations, similar to your house is privately owned, but you still have to do building permits. The lake is privately owned, but it's still a shoreline and would have to follow shoreline rules.
Any other questions? Councilmember Cedar.
Chief, do you envision any impact to your need for additional officers on high firework nights, New Year's, Super Bowl?
well, I think, again, it's important to, just because we have the law, we still need to express the expectation that this is not going to stop fireworks in Milton. We're going to do our best. There is a misdemeanor presence rule, and we also have to abide by the rules and regulations regarding entry to property. So again, it is going to be difficult to enforce, but we will do our best. It makes it obviously much clearer, kind of, for our officers, because we still have tribal property that this does not impact. So if someone has tribal property and they're next to someone who does not have tribal property, and that tribal property is in trust, they can do what they want on that property as far as lighting off fireworks, but the person next to them who doesn't have tribal property in trust cannot. So it is, it puts us in a difficult position. And then, of course, we have to consider our liability options also when we're talking about seizing fireworks from individuals and use of force escalations and all kinds of things.
Right, but all we're really talking about tonight is shifting from what we previously passed, which is now the ordinance that the law in Milton, which is that fireworks are not legal. And this just shifts the enforcement from the fire chief who doesn't want it to the Milton City Police, correct?
Correct, because if you don't do that, then there will be nobody to enforce it.
Right. And the problem that you pointed out, I mean, just to note it, like the tribal issue, that problem already exists. Someone could purchase illegal fireworks that were previously illegal in Milton, and we would still encounter that issue, right? So my question is just a little bit more specific, which is is there some alternative or some increased cost that we need to consider in passing this amendment to the law as it currently stands?
No, the police department always the best that we can with what we got. So no matter what the burden is that's put on the police department, we'll just do our best. That's just the way it is. We just need to have council and the citizens understand that this is not a final answer to what they thought was a problem, and that we're still going to have fireworks violations, and we'll do the best we can to deal with it. But during celebrations such as the holiday of the 4th of July, our priorities are immediate life safety. And so we probably still will take the same position, unless I'm directed otherwise by the mayor, of fireworks calls will be triaged at the 911 and will not be dispatched unless there's an immediate life safety posed, because it ties up the air so that when you do dispatch all of these calls for fireworks, and it does create legitimate life safety issues, is that if something happens, people can't get on the radio because it'll be nonstop dispatches of calls that we're going to be trying to deal with. And so and we share the frequency with multiple jurisdictions. So
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the burden, and your risks have been well documented, I think, and I appreciate those. But I see no reason why we wouldn't do this, because like you said, we wouldn't have anyone to enforce it otherwise, which I think is a necessary tool, at least to write into the law.
And this is just a discussion item for tonight, because it'll be coming back for action. So I just wanted to give the new council members a little bit of a background so that they understand, because this was legislation that was voted in before they took their seat. And so I think it's relevant that they understand the background on it so that they're fully informed.
Thanks.
Councilmember Hall.
To clarify, they're not going to send it out on air, but you get it on the computer, correct?
We, in the past, like the other jurisdictions in Pierce County, have said that you can go to the South Sound 911 website and report fireworks violations, so that we can create a database of repeat offenders. Again, if it's immediate life safety, someone is creating a fire hazard, they're directing fireworks at moving vehicles or people or homes or things like that, then we, of course, want to know about that so that we can take immediate action. But just the fact that you see a firework is not an immediate life safety.
No, I wouldn't expect it to be. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Turnus.
So I would assume in passing this ordinance that if somebody's house does catch on fire, if somebody does have some property damage or property to themselves, then the city of Milton is not held liable for it.
Not necessarily. This is just simply that this community was put to an advisory vote, and they said, we don't like fireworks in our city. And so then council acted on that, passed legislation banning fireworks. Regardless, there are always going to be bad actors that do things that are reckless. but there would have to be some kind of direct nexus showing negligence of the city for a home that burned. And so, again, that would be, you would have to look at all the facts. But again, this was just a thing that was passed by the previous body because this has been a debate for many years. There's things beyond just the reckless component of it or a fire hazard. There are people in our community who have mental health disorders, post-traumatic stress, people that are veterans, that this causes discomfort. There's the animal component where animals, run off and are panicked. And so this is just something over the years that has been of much debate. And also, things that we did 20 years ago, density changes. And so things that we might have done 20 years ago, we can't necessarily do today because there's the sheer density that we have today.
Thank you. Also, do we have a public, I've only lived down here, I think 18 years, but do we have a permitted firework production here in Milton at all?
We don't. We have a process in the code that they can apply for a permit and they have to be inspected and so on. But this has been a discussion when this code was passed, whether or not we wanted to provide some kind of firework display or some kind of visual effect display. So those kinds of conversations still continue today.
Thank you.
Councilmember Whalen.
Oh, I was actually just going to thank you for adding the complete code, showing which section changes and so forth. It makes it easier because it's going to be a while before it's published, you might say. But this little page is only changing one code area in the existing code itself. It's a nice way to present it.
Councilmember Cedar.
I just had I thought I saw something about a potential 4th of July display in Milton. Maybe I missed that.
I know the events committee is working,
Was the event committee working on something?
on an event for the 4th of July. I didn't see anything about fireworks in there, though.
Okay.
No, there's been solicitation by our events committee to see whether or not what kind of thing that we could do to celebrate the 4th of July.
Gotcha.
Keeping in mind that this ordinance has passed, but this ordinance will not go in effect until 1 year from now. So that does not affect this July. It'll affect
Right.
the July in 2027.
And just to clarify, I think it's on the calendar, I'll look, but I believe it's intended to be like a come to the park, bring a picnic lunch kind of thing. So there'll be more information coming.
Councilmember Poor.
Thank you, Mayor. And I apologize if this isn't a great question for you, but I just was curious because of the additional burden it would cause on the police department. Do you know if there's any other bodies that help with these kind of things during the holidays and whatnot that could help relieve your guys' burden? Or are you guys kind of the only other?
There are not, but I have had people come up to me and let me know that they would be willing to assist the police department. But even then, there is still the misdemeanor presence rule. And then also there's new legislation that's coming down the pipe that's going to be landing on the governor's desk about limitations on volunteers acting in a police capacity.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, it appears that we have gone through our total agenda. So, and all items have been included. I adjourn this meeting at 7:17.